While some experts say that fear isn't real, for most of us, it feels very real and even holds us back in our spiritual wellness. There are likely many things in life right now that you feel afraid to do, whether in your relationships, at work, or in new experiences. The fact that you feel afraid is robbing you from living the life you want. For example, if you're afraid to fly, that limits your ability to travel, visit friends, or explore new places. Or if you're too scared to speak up at work, it impacts your career growth and earning potential. But let's talk about that fear that goes much deeper than that. The fear that exists just under the surface of your every moment, that's just waiting to take over our spirituality and health. The type of fear that makes us not want to get out of bed in the morning. Michel de Montaigne told us, "A man who fears suffering is already suffering from what he fears." Today, we'll uncover how to replace this fearful and anxious thinking with presence, and how this becomes powerful fuel for spiritual enlightenment. Fear and anxiety are familiar feelings for most people. Oftentimes, anxiety lurks in the background throughout our lives. It's like a low hum or distant noise that's always there, but we don't always notice it. When faced with a challenge or trigger, that background anxiety can quickly amplify. The underlying worries that had been there subtly now take center stage. Suddenly, the anxiety becomes very pronounced and you feel gripped by it. In these moments of intense anxiety, the link between thoughts and emotions becomes intensified. The trigger causes worried thoughts to arise, and those thoughts generate anxious feelings. It becomes a cycle. Anxious thoughts perpetuating anxious emotions. The emotion then manifests physically as a tense or painful feeling, often in the stomach or solar plexus area. But anxiety can also make the whole body feel tight and uncomfortable. The mind-body connection is very real in regard to anxiety. The unconscious thought patterns trigger the emotion. In turn, the physical sensation of anxiety then reinforces the worrying thoughts. It becomes a self-perpetuating loop of emotionally charged thinking. Even if you want to stop, the cycle takes on a momentum of its own. Rudyard Kipling put it this way, "Of all the liars in the world, sometimes the worst are our own fears." When gripped by fearful thinking, your interpretation of the world becomes distorted. In that state, your fearful perception feels like reality, even though it's inaccurate. Actions taken from this place of fear often lead to poor outcomes and further suffering. The key is to interrupt the cycle early by recognizing anxious thinking and separating it from our emotions. Start by accepting the fear without judging it. Give it space to run its course. Use tools like meditation, exercise, and talking to others to process the emotion. Once the intense feelings subside, you can then introduce more uplifting perspectives. The key is addressing the emotional root first before layering on positive thinking. This integrative approach reconciles mind and emotion for lasting change. Consciously shifting perspective requires creating a distance from the fear, not suppressing it. Progress happens gradually as awareness increases. Rather than engaging in negative thinking, make an effort to be present and focused on the now. The present moment is all that truly exists, but the mind doesn't seem to recognize that the present is all there is. There is no other moment except the current one unfolding. The future never actually arrives. When it comes, it is simply the present. The past already happened, but we can only access it in our memory in the now. By becoming fully present, we can then approach the future from a grounded, centered place. It takes practice to develop this helpful relationship with the now, even though we seem to spend much time trying to escape it. We often think that's where fear resides, but that's a lie. Fear only lives in our thinking about it. But we need consistent awareness to recognize the present as an ally, not an enemy. With presence, we see the present is on our side. Staying grounded in the now reduces anxiety about the future. Each moment is manageable when we pay attention to it. By making the present our friend, we create a solid foundation. As you let go of fearful thoughts and become more present, you start to break the link between thinking and emotion. Thoughts may still arise, but you can recognize them and let them go while staying grounded in the present. However, the emotional fear does not immediately vanish, even though you've stopped fueling it with anxious thinking. If it's been present for a long time, the feeling will likely persist. In your state of presence, you may notice a heightened perception of your senses and the beauty around you. But you may also still feel the anxiety or fear living inside, even without the worried thoughts. Rather than resisting this lingering emotion, make it part of your experience of the present moment. Accept it just as you accept all sensations that make up the now. The tendency is to want to eliminate the feeling, to say, "I shouldn't feel this, I want to get rid of this." In some extreme cases, medication can provide temporary relief, but often an opportunity is missed, the chance to evolve through embracing difficult feelings. Trying to escape emotional pain just creates more struggle. Adding resistance or judgment to the feeling amplifies anxiety. An alternative approach is to allow the emotion to be there without labeling it good or bad. Bring mindful awareness and compassion to it. Make it part of the wholeness of the present. This opens the door to move through and release the fear or anxiety organically. By accepting it with equanimity, its grip loosens and it can start to dissipate. Accepting the present moment fully, including difficult emotions like anxiety, connects you to a deeper level of inner power and consciousness. Mark Twain once wrote, "Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear." When you stop reacting against the anxiety and instead allow it to be there, it loses its ability to harm you. Judging or resisting it only creates more turmoil, but if you let the emotion be, it cannot overpower you. It takes courage to say, "I accept feeling anxious." This may seem paradoxical, but it can be a powerful technique. For ongoing anxiety that keeps arising, fully allowing yourself to experience those feelings without resistance can reduce their control over you. Focus attention on the feeling without fueling the storyline around it. Sense the burning, trapped energy in the emotion. In accepting this blocked energy completely in the moment, without adding judgment or resistance, a subtle shift happens. The tightly wound fear begins releasing, transmuting into presence and self-awareness. The same energy that had been trapped in anxiety now flows freely as the fuel for consciousness itself, our spiritual awakening. By embracing it compassionately, the emotion loses its charge and frees the aliveness within. This is a powerful practice for reclaiming your inner power and vitality. Rather than fighting anxiety, which tightens the knot, allow it to be and watch it unfold into creative potential. Don't forget to subscribe for more guidance on your spiritual journey and to delve deeper into how our thoughts control us. Watch this video next.